As ministers met in Copenhagen, events in Ukraine underscored the urgency. In Kyiv, new Russian missile strikes left streets covered in debris, residential blocks in ruins, and emergency workers pulling the injured from rubble. Images released by the Ukrainian presidency and emergency services showed destroyed cars, shattered buildings, and rescuers carrying civilians on stretchers. For Ukrainian leaders, these pictures are proof that Europe cannot wait. Without concrete guarantees, they argue, Moscow will never stop. President Volodymyr Zelensky has been blunt in his appeals. Standing beside US President Donald Trump in Washington earlier this month, he pushed hard for more than weapons. What Ukraine needs, Zelensky argued, is assurance that its sovereignty will never again be left exposed. The discussions in Copenhagen are also tied to NATO's evolving posture. With Finland and Sweden now fully integrated, the alliance has expanded its reach across the Baltic and Arctic. Exercises in Romania and France have highlighted Europe's growing readiness, with tanks rolling across fields and generals saluting troops. But NATO, too, faces limits. Not every member is prepared to put boots on the ground in Ukraine. Some prefer to keep NATO's role defensive while leaving direct commitments to the EU. This division makes the Copenhagen talks even more crucial, because if the EU cannot agree on a framework, the security vacuum could undermine both NATO unity and Ukraine's stability. Alongside military guarantees, Europe is preparing new sanctions on Russia. The latest attacks on Kyiv have reignited calls for stricter measures, especially targeting energy exports and financial networks. Wadful and other ministers want Copenhagen to mark not only a military step forward, but also an economic one. Sanctions remain one of Europe's strongest tools, but their effectiveness depends on unity. Countries with deeper energy ties to Russia, such as Hungary, remain reluctant. Yet with every strike on Ukraine, the pressure grows to close loopholes and cut Moscow's revenues. In the end, the debates in Copenhagen are not just about treaties and troop deployments. They are about lives. The images from Kyiv serve as constant reminders. Children carried to safety by rescuers, homes reduced to rubble, and families forced once again to flee. For many ministers, these pictures drive home the stakes. Europe cannot afford another cycle of promises without action. If peace is to be secured, it must be enforced. And that enforcement will require risks, sacrifices, and leadership. Europe has long spoken of unity, but rarely has the test been so stark. For years, Washington's leadership allowed some European governments to delay difficult choices. Now, with the US stepping back, the burden falls on Europe.